Before reaching out to Governor Alara, Marcus assembled his most trusted advisers in the Sovereign's briefing room. He selected veterans, Gallus, Tychos, and Leonis, 3 hardened officers whose counsel he relied on for decades through countless battles. Joining them was Magos biologist Felicia, the ship's preeminent researcher, along with her retinue of servitors, as well as Ensign Summers. "We proceed with caution," Marcus said. "The surface dwellers appear benign and orderly, yet they withhold information. Much is unknown." A rapid confirmation of the planetary surface coordinates was organized to the rendezvous location, Marcus mentally noting that he was unexpectedly relishing the occasion, despite the gravity of the circumstances. Advisors in tow, Marcus led them to the shuttle bay, where his personal Thunderhawk gunship awaited. The team embarked and descended into the verdant world's atmosphere. Peering out the cockpit, Marcus marveled at the integration of nature and technology. Rivers cleanly divided settlements, flowing with geometric precision, their currents directed as if engineered for maximum efficiency. Forests and farmlands interwove with architecture in hypnotic fractal patterns, trees and crops coexisting seamlessly with advanced buildings and transit networks. The structured blend of the organic and the artificial was distinctly alien to Marcus's experience, accustomed as he was to the cold impersonality of starships and hive cities. Yet there was undeniable beauty in the synthesis laid out before him, functional and aesthetic in equal measure. He found himself unexpectedly entranced by the alien world's harmonious visual rhythms, its balanced dance of the natural and the technological. It was a glimpse into a novel sensibility, a new way of being that integrated disciplines often seen as disparate. What could be learned from these surface dwellers about life in contact with nature rather than in dominance and isolation? Much could be gained from understanding this civilization, Marcus mused, if peaceful exchange was indeed possible. There were insights here that could profoundly shape the Imperium's own path. The Thunderhawk touched down on a pristine landing pad where a reception party stood waiting, led by a short woman in a pale blue robe, who Marcus assumed was Governor Ilara from their brief Vox communication. As the team disembarked from the Thunderhawk gunship, the woman bowed gracefully in greeting, her long auburn hair falling loosely over her shoulders. She was petite, standing nearly a head shorter than the majority of people around her, and was unadorned by the excessive jewellery or ostentatious displays of wealth Marcus had seen draped over the leaders of other worlds in his travels across the galaxy. Possessing a natural and healthy beauty with clear skin and bright, intelligent eyes that seemed to hint at great wisdom beyond her years, her simple, pale blue robes, though finely made, eschewed extravagance in favour of a humble elegance befitting her role. Marcus found it almost impossible to guess her true age, though her graceful poise and warm, disarming smile spoke of someone comfortable in their authority and experience. As she straightened, she met Marcus' gaze directly, her face open and welcoming. "Greetings, honoured guests," she said, her voice melodic yet firm. "In the name of my people, I bid you welcome to Eos. I am Alara, custodian of this world. We are delighted to receive visitors from distant stars. Please come, let me introduce you to our world." As Marcus and Ilara exchanged formalities, Summers's attention was stolen by the local fare. Before her lay dishes, she had only read about in the historian's texts, real bread that crumbled to the touch, red fruits that oozed vitality. While her captain bargained the future, Summers's stomach rumbled with the immediate. She hesitated before accepting a bite, remembering her role in the grander scheme. An imperceptible twitch in the captain's demeanour was all it took to dissuade her from indulging further. The group was led on a tour through marvels of engineering flowing seamlessly with the environment. Sleek towers and structures curved gracefully around lush forests and cascading waterfalls. Elevated pathways wove between the treetops, complementing the natural landscape. Citizens glided by on foot or in strange silent vehicles that hovered just above the ground, powered by some mysterious energy source. They nodded politely at Marcus and his companions, but kept a cautious distance, eyeing the visitors' imposing figures and battle-worn armor. Throughout the tour, Marcus noted the complete lack of any apparent conflict, crime, or strife amongst the inhabitants. There was a prevailing sense of tranquility and order that seemed alien to someone accustomed to the myriad threats and hardships of life in the sprawling Imperium. For a people possessing advanced technology, they appear to live in harmony with their surroundings rather than imposing their will upon it through massive geoengineering projects and industrial expansion. Marcus wondered how long such a balance could be maintained before the temptations of technological power disrupted the equilibrium. Forgive my ignorance, but we were unaware of human civilizations in this sector, Marcus finally said. Might I ask how long your people have been here? But of course, Elora replied. Our records indicate it has been 2,137 years since the founding. Marcus concealed his surprise. An isolated human world thriving for over 2 millennia without contact contradicted all imperial knowledge. The existence of this planet and its people raised many questions in Marcus' mind. How had they advanced their technology and society in isolation for so long? What unique cultural practices and innovations might they have developed on their own? And why had the Imperium never discovered them across centuries of expansion and exploration? Marcus knew such a lengthy period of separation from the rest of humanity was exceedingly rare. Though outwardly composed, his thoughts churned with curiosity about the origins, history and customs of these people who both were, and yet were not, kindred spirits bound by a common human ancestry. Yagana Elora guided the delegation down wide avenues towards the heart of what appeared to be their capital city, although the unusual layout made it difficult for Marcus to identify the typical features he would expect. As they drew closer to the central district, an immense monolithic structure emerged, dwarfing all other buildings around it. Our most prized possession, dating back to the founding, Elora explained, a flicker of sorrow in her eyes. It represents our people's unification and perseverance against. She trailed off, steadying her emotions. Forgive me, painful memories. This artifact embodies deliverance for us, but sadly lies dormant now. We call it the birthstone. The immense edifice towered over them, its sleek metallic surfaces glinting in the sun. Marcus scrutinized it closely, but could discern no obvious entrances or markings. A technological marvel or cultural icon, he wondered, sensing the significance this monument held for the inhabitants. Elora appeared deeply affected being in its presence, reflecting on past sacrifices and tribulations. Yet her momentary vulnerability vanished as quickly as it had surfaced. With quiet dignity, she turned to Marcus and his fellows. We call this the birthstone. We understand it may not be much to look at, but it holds great importance to us. With quiet dignity, she turned to Marcus and his fellows. It is a memorial to the inception and the ordeal, the two limbs of destiny that are always intertwined. Marcus noted Elora's sudden change in demeanour, seeing a visible reverence to her that he found unnerving in its authenticity. A remarkable piece of history. Might we examine it more closely? Elora shook her head. Alas, it is but an inert monument now. We prefer to leave relics of the past at rest. Marcus nodded, but a passive auger scan from Magos biologist Felicia revealed a faint power signature within the edifice. He made careful note of it. A sudden, yet discreet, vox signal buzzed in his ear from Lieutenant Julius. Sire, the ship's augers are detecting anomalous sensor ghosts. Our heading adjusts without orders, the lieutenant reported, his voice hushed yet tinged with concern. Marcus's brow furrowed as he considered the implications of Julius's update. Sensor ghosts were never a good sign. often indicating some strange warp distortion or previously unknown stellar phenomena, and for the Sovereigns heading to shift without direct input from the bridge crew suggested the disturbance was directly impacting their system. Acknowledged, Lieutenant. Begin running full diagnostics on all critical systems and have the tech adepts thoroughly scan the ship's machine spirit for any signs of corruption or outside influence, Marcus instructed after a pause, and dispatch a servo-scowl for close-range auger sweeps. We need more data before I can advise a course of action. Marcus did not relish the thought of navigating through a warp-touched region of space blindly, but until they could ascertain the origin and nature of these sensor ghosts, moving forward carried substantial risk. For now, he could only order vigilance while they gathered information. Anomalies in the warp were seldom kind to those caught unprepared. Julius instructed the group of tech adepts to spread out over the bridge, tools and incense in their grasp, to soothe the machine spirit. "We'll find this phantom," he whispered to himself, his voice low but firm with conviction, as he watched the red-robed adepts begin their ministration. The servo skulls buzzed away down the corridors, their auspex sensors and pict recorders sweeping methodically in search of anomalies. Julius knew their electronic senses would cover ground far faster than any flesh-and-blood crew. To the ship's lead engineer, a veteran officer named Gregor with decades of experience, Julius talked with hushed urgency, leaning in close so only Gregor could hear. "Engineer, I need your finest minds on this immediately. We can't have any gaps in our awareness, not in this place." Gregor nodded, his weathered face creasing in concern. He barked orders to his engineering teams, demanding sense sweeps be accelerated. Data streams and console alerts soon flooded the bridge as the ship's machine spirit was prodded into heightened vigilance. "Just what we bloody need," Julius said under his breath as he watched his crew work. "By the Emperor, no warp trickery will defeat us this day." The bridge thrummed with activity, the air taut with anticipation. He had to trust in his crew now, in their training and faith. Together they would unravel this mystery and restore blessed order. Back on the planet, the excursion concluded amiably, but ultimately proceeded to what Marcus deduced was an administrative edifice or civic establishment. The structure rising from the earth as though it had been planted in this location and just allowed to select its own shape and mature organically into it. They were escorted into a grand reception chamber with victuals and beverages, arranged on a succession of tables. As she opened her arms to reveal the room behind her, Alora opined, "I'm anxious. We really don't know what's fashionable outside our world in the domain of expected cuisine, but here we have simple tastes and simple wants." Marcus would have been utterly astounded if he had not rapidly collected himself, as the spread laid out was anything but plain. They had actual animal flesh and genuine produce, something even the most indulgent planets could only provide fleetingly. But distractions aside, he was here for information, and to proceed with standard first contact procedure, quickly getting down to business. "Cogna Alora, we thank you for the warm reception. It is a cold universe with many terrors intent on harm or destruction. To meet warm words and warm greetings is a grace I have not felt for some time. That being said, we have standard protocol and procedures I must follow." "Oh," Alora mused. "Please, Captain, continue," she said with an expectant zeal creeping into the corners of her eyes. "As you wish, Custodian Alora. Greetings, people of Eos. I am Captain Marcus Cassian Dracos, speaking on behalf of the Galactic Imperium. We have traveled to your system to reunite you with your extended kin and welcome you into our glorious Emperor's realm. Know that you are not solitary in this ominous universe. You belong to an ancient and vast civilization spanning uncounted worlds and souls. You are part of humankind, the rightful leaders of the galaxies and the chosen of our Emperor. The Emperor is the supreme lord and defender of humanity, master of the Imperium and god of our race. He is the fount of all wisdom and might, guardian of all truth and justice." He is the light against darkness, hope amid despair. Only he can save you from the lurking horrors and foes. Only he can guide you to a radiant and fruitful future. Only he merits your allegiance and obedience. The Imperium embodies the Emperor's vision. It is the greatest and noblest civilization ever known, defender and custodian of humankind's legacy and destiny. It is the bastion and beacon of culture and advancement. It alone can ensure your survival and safety. It alone can honor your heritage and identity. It alone enables you to serve the Emperor and humanity. We offer you a choice, people of Eos. You may join the Imperium and become the Emperor's loyal subjects, enjoying all privileges and benefits, contributing to the glory of humankind. You may share in the Imperium's knowledge and culture, worship the Emperor and receive his blessings. Or you may reject the Imperium and remain isolated in darkness, suffering consequences for defiance. You may face the fury of our armies and fleets, the pain of punishments and purges, the loss of all you have and are. The choice is yours, but choose prudently, for there is no reversing course. The Imperium is here to stay and will brook no resistance. It comes to reclaim you and will accept no refusal. It comes to save you and will allow no other path. In the Emperor's name, the Imperium will not take no for an answer. With those words spoken, I must now take my leave and return to my vessel. You have been granted a period of 7 days to deliberate this proposal amongst your leaders and councils, to weigh the prospects before you, and to settle upon the course your world will set forth upon. Once your deliberations have concluded, I ask that you send word to me aboard the Sovereign regarding the outcome of your discussions, so that I may know whether you intend to embrace the light of the Imperium or turn away into the darkness. The time allotted to you is brief, but should prove sufficient to make an informed choice on this most weighty of matters. I await your reply, and trust that wisdom will guide your hand in this. For now, I must attend to my duties. May fortune smile upon your world as you chart its destiny in the days ahead." As he concluded, Marcus realized that he had been unconsciously putting off the difficult decisions that now confronted him. Choices had to be made, and either an offer of alliance extended or an ultimatum delivered. The Imperium's standard protocols for first contact with lost human colonies allowed little room for deviation. Marcus disliked being forced into a rigid doctrine, but knew his duty lay first and foremost with the Imperium. The fate of this world was now out of his hands, and like most worlds before them, that decision would either be their salvation or their doom.